Most unbelievable plastic surgery of male Hollywood celebrities before and after that will shock you. What if some of Hollywood's most recognizable black male stars were hiding surprising stories behind the faces we thought we knew? From Michael Jackson's openly acknowledged procedures to Dwayne Johnson's unexpected cosmetic decision, these transformations reveal just how powerful the pressure to maintain a certain image can become. But not every dramatic before and after photograph proves plastic surgery. Some changes were confirmed, others came from medical treatment, aging, fitness, grooming, or decades of unanswered speculation. Today we're separating documented facts from Hollywood rumors as we revisit 15 unforgettable transformations. Stay until the end, you may question what you believed about several of these stars. Subscribe to Remembered Lives channel and comment below which celebrity transformation shocked you the most. Michael Jackson. Few celebrity transformations have been examined as intensely as Michael Jackson's. From the youthful face audiences first saw with the Jackson 5 to the dramatically different appearance of his later years, every change generated headlines, rumors, and speculation. But separating documented facts from decades of gossip is essential. Jackson himself acknowledged cosmetic surgery. In his 1988 autobiography Moonwalk, he said he had undergone 2 rhinoplasties and had added a cleft to his chin. During his famous 1993 interview with Oprah Winfrey, he again confirmed nose surgery while denying claims that he had repeatedly altered his eyes, cheekbones, or lips. His changing skin tone created even greater controversy. For years, critics accused Jackson of deliberately trying to make his skin lighter. Jackson explained that he had vitiligo, a condition causing loss of pigmentation. That diagnosis was later supported by his autopsy, making it important not to describe his complexion as simply another cosmetic procedure. He said makeup was used to create a more even appearance as the condition progressed. Behind the physical transformation was something more emotional. Jackson endured extraordinary scrutiny over his appearance from childhood onward. In his conversation with Winfrey, he admitted that he was often unhappy with what he saw in the mirror. That vulnerability makes his story more complicated than any collection of before and after photographs. By the time Jackson died in 2009, at only 50, his face had become almost as discussed as his music. Yet the verified story is narrower than countless internet rumors suggest. What we can responsibly say is that Michael confirmed multiple cosmetic changes himself, while firmly denying many others attributed to him. Smokey Robinson. Smokey Robinson presents a very different case, and accuracy matters here. Born in Detroit in 1940, Robinson has remained remarkably youthful-looking across an extraordinary career stretching from Motown's earliest days into his 80s. That appearance has inevitably generated online speculation about facelifts, Botox fillers, and other cosmetic treatments. But unlike Michael Jackson, there is no comparably strong public record in the reliable sources reviewed here of Robinson personally confirming specific facial plastic surgeries. Presenting those rumors as established facts would therefore be misleading. What Robinson has openly discussed is how seriously he approaches aging and physical health. The legendary singer has said he wants to remain as young and vibrant as possible, rather than surrender to expectations about old age. His routine has included decades of yoga and regular exercise. He also told AARP that he stopped eating red meat in 1972 and spent several years following a vegan diet. Even after a serious bout of COVID-19 that hospitalized him for approximately 11 days, Robinson returned to recording and touring. That longevity becomes even more remarkable when viewed against his musical history. Robinson helped define the Motown sound, fronted The Miracles, became a major songwriter and record executive, and wrote or co-wrote enduring classics such as The Tracks of My Tears. AARP reports that his songwriting catalog extends beyond 4,000 songs. So when comparing photographs of Robinson across 6 decades, viewers may understandably wonder how he has maintained his appearance. But wondering is not evidence. For a video committed to no fake news, Robinson's segment should emphasize that distinction. His youthful appearance is undeniable. Specific cosmetic procedures remain unconfirmed in the sources reviewed. Sometimes the most fascinating part of a celebrity transformation is recognizing where documented history ends and speculation begins. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Long before Dwayne Johnson became one of Hollywood's most recognizable leading men, his body was already central to his public image. Years of football, professional wrestling, and relentless training created the powerful physique audiences associated with The Rock. Yet there was one physical issue that even intense workouts could not solve to his satisfaction. Johnson has publicly acknowledged undergoing surgery to address excess tissue in his chest, making his story far more reliable for this topic than celebrity transformations based purely on photographs and speculation. Johnson explained that despite training hard, he developed what is commonly described as gynecomastia, enlargement of male breast tissue. Rather than simply accepting an appearance that bothered him, he chose a surgical solution. The procedure removed unwanted tissue and reshaped his chest. What makes this case particularly interesting is that Johnson was already extraordinarily fit. His experience illustrates that cosmetic procedures are not always about losing weight or reversing aging. Sometimes even elite athletes encounter physical characteristics exercise cannot easily change. The transformation became only one small chapter in a much larger reinvention. After leaving professional wrestling as a full-time career, Johnson successfully crossed into movies, eventually becoming a global action star through franchises including Fast and Furious and Jumanji. His muscular appearance remained an important part of that screen identity. But Johnson's story deserves accuracy rather than exaggeration. There is no need to invent facelifts, implants, or endless secret procedures simply because his appearance evolved over decades. The confirmed chest procedure alone makes his case compelling. Behind one of Hollywood's most carefully maintained physiques was a surprisingly ordinary insecurity, and Johnson chose to address it openly rather than pretend that every feature of his famous body came from the gym. Jamie Foxx. Jamie Foxx has spent decades reinventing himself from stand-up comedian and in living color performer to Oscar-winning actor, musician, and Hollywood leading man. Along the way, viewers have naturally noticed changes in his appearance, particularly his remarkably sharp hairline. Before and after photographs have fueled years of claims that Foxx underwent hair transplantation or other cosmetic procedures. But this is where a responsible story must separate internet theory from established fact. Unlike celebrities who have publicly detailed their operations, Foxx has not provided a clear, widely documented confirmation of a hair transplant in reliable reporting. Online observers frequently compare photographs from different stages of his career, pointing to changes around his temples and hairline. Some discussions have even speculated about scalp micropigmentation or other restoration techniques. None of those visual comparisons, however convincing they may appear, prove exactly what procedure, if any, was performed. That distinction matters because Foxx's genuine transformation requires no embellishment. Born Eric Marlon Bishop in Texas, he became a television breakout in the 1990s before demonstrating astonishing dramatic range. His portrayal of Ray Charles in Ray earned him the 2005 Academy Award for Best Actor, permanently changing how Hollywood viewed the comedian who once made audiences laugh as Wanda. Over subsequent decades, Foxx maintained a polished image while moving effortlessly between music, comedy, action pictures, and serious drama. His appearance evolved as nearly everyone's does under decades of cameras, styling, grooming, and aging. So Foxx belongs in a cosmetic transformation discussion only with an important qualification. His changing hairline has generated substantial public speculation, but speculation should never become a fictional medical history. Sometimes a before and after photograph creates questions. It does not automatically provide the answers. Kanye West. Kanye West's cosmetic surgery story stands apart because it did not emerge from paparazzi photographs or anonymous surgeons guessing about his appearance. He revealed it himself. During a highly publicized 2018 appearance at the TMZ newsroom, the rapper disclosed that he had undergone liposuction in 2016 because he feared being publicly criticized for gaining weight. In his own explanation, the pressure surrounding celebrity appearance had become powerful enough to influence a deeply personal decision. The procedure became connected to a darker chapter. He said he was prescribed opioid pain medication afterward and eventually developed a dependence on the drugs. He described taking increasing amounts during the period surrounding his St. Pablo tour and hospitalization in November 2016. Whatever viewers may think about Ye's later controversies, this particular cosmetic procedure is not merely internet speculation. He openly acknowledged it. There was also an especially painful family connection. Ye's mother, Donda West, had died in 2007 following complications after cosmetic procedures including liposuction and breast reduction. That history made his own decision to undergo liposuction years later particularly striking. His admission also revealed something often hidden behind celebrity transformations: fear of public judgment. Ye said his motivation was connected to not wanting people to call him fat. For an artist known for projecting enormous confidence, the confession exposed an unexpected vulnerability. That is what makes his story relevant beyond a simple before and after comparison. Cosmetic surgery was not presented as some glamorous Hollywood secret. In Ye's own account, body image, pressure surgery, prescription medication, and a turbulent period of his life became intertwined. Behind the transformation was a reminder that fame does not eliminate insecurity. Sometimes it magnifies it. Jermaine Jackson. Jermaine Jackson grew up under the kind of spotlight few people could imagine. As an original member of the Jackson 5, he became famous while still young, performing beside brothers Jackie, Tito, Marlon, and Michael as the group transformed from a Gary, Indiana family act into one of Motown's greatest sensations. More than half a century later, Jermaine's appearance has inevitably changed, and those changes have repeatedly generated speculation about cosmetic surgery. Photographs from the Jackson 5 era, compared with images from later decades, show noticeable differences in his styling, hairline, facial presentation, and overall appearance. Internet discussions have frequently claimed that Jermaine underwent rhinoplasty, facelifts, skin treatments, or other procedures. Yet there is a major problem. Unlike Michael Jackson, Jermaine does not have the same clear public record of personally confirming specific cosmetic operations. That means we should not turn visual assumptions into medical facts. What can be documented is his remarkable longevity in entertainment. After the Jackson 5, Jermaine remained with Motown when his brothers moved to another label and became the Jacksons. He developed a solo career that produced recordings such as Let's Get Serious, and later reunited professionally with members of his famous family. His appearance continued attracting attention, partly because comparisons with Michael were unavoidable. Every Jackson sibling lived under extraordinary scrutiny, and changes that might pass unnoticed in an ordinary family became headline material when attached to one of music's most recognizable surnames. For a video about celebrity cosmetic transformations, Jermaine therefore requires careful wording. We can discuss how dramatically his public appearance has evolved and acknowledge the surgery speculation surrounding him. What we cannot responsibly do is assign him a list of procedures without reliable confirmation. His transformation is visible. The precise medical explanation behind it remains his private story. Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders built his reputation on speed, confidence, and an image as carefully polished as his athletic performances. Known as Prime Time, he became one of the rare athletes to play in both the NFL and Major League Baseball, eventually earning induction into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Yet years after his playing career, Sanders openly revealed a cosmetic decision many male celebrities would have preferred to keep private. He underwent a hair restoration procedure. Sanders discussed his thinning hair publicly and documented his treatment with hair restoration specialist Dr. Jacques Bauman. In 2017, he underwent a follicular unit extraction, or FUI, procedure. Unlike older transplant methods that removed a strip of scalp, FUI involves individually extracting follicular units and transplanting them into areas experiencing hair loss. Sanders even shared parts of the experience publicly, removing much of the secrecy normally surrounding male cosmetic treatments. That openness made his transformation especially useful for separating documented procedures from celebrity rumors. Sanders did not need internet detectives comparing photographs. He acknowledged the treatment himself. His decision also reflected changing attitudes toward male appearance. For generations, men were often expected to accept hair loss silently, while discussing cosmetic intervention could be treated as vanity. Sanders approached it differently. His public persona had always celebrated presentation, from flashy suits and jewelry to his famous swagger. Restoring his hair therefore seemed less like a dramatic reinvention and more like another expression of the confidence that had defined Prime Time. Years later, Sanders remained highly visible as a football coach, meaning audiences could follow his changing appearance across decades. His story proves that cosmetic transformation does not always involve reshaping a face. Sometimes it can be as focused as restoring something age gradually takes away and being confident enough to admit exactly how it was done. Nayo. Nayo entered the public eye with a distinctive image, tailored clothing, smooth R&B vocals, and almost inevitably a hat. From the mid-2000s onward, the Grammy-winning singer became closely associated with fedoras and other headwear, prompting years of curiosity about what he was covering. Eventually, Nayo addressed the subject himself and openly discussed experiencing hair loss from a surprisingly young age. Born Shafir Kimire Smith, Nayo has explained that his hairline began receding while he was still a teenager. By the time fame arrived through songs such as So Sick, Sexy Love, and Because of You, hats had become both a practical choice and an important part of his signature appearance. He later acknowledged that his hair loss had influenced that style, turning something that might have created insecurity into recognizable branding. Where accuracy becomes crucial is the question of surgery. Numerous websites and social media posts have claimed that Nayo received a hair transplant, scalp micropigmentation, or other restoration procedures. However, unlike Deion Sanders, there is not equally strong public documentation from Nayo confirming a specific surgical hair transplant procedure. That distinction should remain clear. Nayo's changing appearance can legitimately be discussed as part of a broader cosmetic transformation story, particularly because he has publicly addressed his receding hairline. But photographs alone cannot tell us whether later differences resulted from transplantation, grooming techniques, cosmetic pigmentation, styling, or another treatment. His larger career hardly depended on his hair. Nayo became a successful recording artist and prolific songwriter, writing for performers including Mario and Beyoncé, while collecting multiple Grammy Awards. Perhaps that is what makes his story relatable. Behind the immaculate suits and famous hats was an issue. Millions of men understand losing hair earlier than expected. Nayo simply experienced it while millions of people were watching. Sammy Davis Jr. Long before modern celebrity culture turned cosmetic procedures into social media conversations, Sammy Davis Jr. understood the extraordinary pressure placed on a performer's appearance. A singer, dancer, actor, comedian, and member of the legendary Rat Pack, Davis spent virtually his entire life before audiences. Yet one of the most dramatic changes to his face came not from elective plastic surgery, but from a devastating accident. On November 19, 1954, Davis was driving in California when his car collided with another vehicle. His face struck the steering wheel, causing catastrophic damage to his left eye. Doctors were unable to save it, and Davis ultimately lost the eye. He later wore a prosthetic eye, an important distinction because describing this transformation simply as plastic surgery would misrepresent what actually happened. The accident occurred when Davis was only 28, and his career was accelerating. For a performer whose expressions and physical presence were essential parts of his act, the injury could have been professionally devastating. Instead, he returned to the stage remarkably quickly and continued building one of the most extraordinary careers in American entertainment. Davis eventually became an international star alongside Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin, appeared in major films and television programs, and recorded enduring songs including The Candy Man. His appearance evolved considerably across the decades, but verified reconstructive and medical treatment following his accident should not be confused with unsupported claims about elective facelifts or other cosmetic operations. That difference actually makes his story more powerful. Davis did not transform himself simply because Hollywood demanded perfection. His face was permanently altered by trauma, and medicine helped him continue performing. For audiences who remember the Rat Pack era, the familiar glass eye became part of an unmistakable image. Behind it, however, was a painful story of survival, one that demonstrates why every celebrity before and after photograph deserves context. Steve Harvey. Steve Harvey has undergone one of the most recognizable image transformations in American entertainment, but it did not happen overnight. Viewers who remember his early stand-up career or The Steve Harvey Show will recall the enormous suits, thick mustache, and famously sharp hairline. Decades later, Harvey presents an entirely different image: bald head, fitted suits, carefully groomed facial hair, and a dramatically modernized wardrobe. His hair has generated endless discussion. Harvey has joked publicly about going bald and eventually abandoning the hairstyle that had become synonymous with his younger years. Old photographs showing an unusually precise hairline have also fueled persistent internet claims involving hairpieces enhancement products or restoration work. But rumors are not medical records. There is no solid basis for presenting Harvey as a confirmed plastic surgery case, simply because his appearance changed. His most obvious transformation can be explained through grooming, aging, weight fluctuations, fashion, and the decision to embrace baldness. Unless Harvey directly confirms a particular surgical procedure, assigning facelifts, hair transplants, or other operations to him would cross from storytelling into speculation. And his evolution is fascinating without doing that. Harvey went from stand-up comedy and Showtime at the Apollo to starring in his own sitcom, becoming one of the original kings of comedy, hosting Family Feud and building an enormous television and radio career. As his professional status changed, his visual presentation matured with it. For longtime viewers, comparing Harvey in the 1990s with Harvey today can feel like looking at two different eras of the same man. Yet his story offers an important lesson for any video about celebrity transformations. Not every dramatic before and after requires a surgeon. Sometimes a razor, a better tailored suit, decades of aging, and a complete change in personal style can produce a transformation just as striking. Karamo Brown. Karamo Brown is one celebrity whose cosmetic story can be discussed without pretending that every change in his appearance is a mystery. Best known as the culture expert on Netflix's Queer Eye, Brown has spoken publicly about cosmetic procedures and, importantly, about what can happen when a seemingly straightforward treatment does not go according to plan. Brown has been unusually open about appearance, grooming, hair loss, and the pressures that can accompany life in front of cameras. Rather than maintaining the illusion that his polished television image requires no assistance, he has discussed cosmetic choices as part of a broader conversation about confidence and self-care. One particularly revealing experience involved a cosmetic procedure intended to address the area beneath his eyes. Brown later explained that he experienced complications following the treatment, including swelling that became serious enough to require medical attention. His account offered a perspective rarely included in glamorous celebrity transformation stories. Cosmetic procedures carry genuine risks even when they are marketed as routine or minimally invasive. That honesty makes Brown particularly relevant to this list. His story is not about dramatically reshaping himself until audiences barely recognized him. Instead, it reveals how modern celebrity beauty maintenance can involve treatments far subtler than traditional facelifts or rhinoplasty, and how those interventions can still produce unexpected consequences. Brown first gained national attention through The Real World, Philadelphia in 2004, before reaching an entirely new audience when Queer Eye premiered in 2018. As his visibility increased, so did public attention to his appearance. Yet Brown has generally approached those conversations with unusual transparency. For middle-aged viewers, especially, his experience offers a useful reminder. Cosmetic treatments may promise fresher, younger-looking results, but they are still medical decisions. Behind every polished red carpet photograph is a reality that advertisements rarely emphasize. Even small changes can come with risks, recovery, and consequences that deserve to be taken seriously. LL Cool J. LL Cool J has spent more than 4 decades in an industry obsessed with youth, making his remarkably consistent appearance an obvious target for speculation. Born James Todd Smith in 1968, he exploded onto the hip-hop scene as a teenager, helping establish Def Jam with records such as Radio and Bigger and Da Fair. Audiences who watched him in the 1980s can still recognize the same powerful features today, leading some online commentators to suggest cosmetic procedures, hair restoration, or facial treatments. But the verified story is far less sensational. LL Cool J has not established a clear public record confirming major facial plastic surgery, therefore claims that he underwent a facelift, rhinoplasty, or other specific operations should not be presented as fact merely because photographs show changes associated with aging. His bald appearance, muscular physique, grooming choices, and disciplined fitness routine can dramatically influence how his face looks without requiring surgery. What is documented is his extraordinary commitment to physical conditioning. Long before celebrity fitness became a social media business, LL made strength training part of his public identity. He even published fitness books, including LL Cool J's Platinum Workout, sharing the training philosophy behind the physique audiences saw on television and concert stages. That discipline accompanied an impressive career transition. Rather than disappearing when hip-hop changed, LL moved successfully into acting, eventually spending more than a decade starring as Sam Hanna on NCIS Los Angeles while continuing to record and perform, so his transformation should be handled carefully. LL Cool J unquestionably looks different from the teenage rapper who arrived in 1985, but nearly 40 years have passed. His case reminds us that Hollywood aging can generate rumors almost automatically. A youthful appearance may invite questions, but without confirmation, questions must remain questions. The real transformation is how LL evolved from teenage rap pioneer into an enduring entertainment veteran. George Benson. George Benson's transformation is especially fascinating because audiences have watched him perform across more than 6 decades. Born in Pittsburgh in 1943, Benson began performing professionally while still a child, and eventually became one of the most celebrated jazz guitarists and vocalists of his generation. His crossover recordings, especially Breezin' and hits such as Give Me the Night, turned him into an international star whose smile became almost as recognizable as his guitar. Over such an extraordinarily long career, Benson's appearance naturally changed. Photographs from his youth compared with later images showed differences in his face, teeth, hair, and overall presentation. Those changes have occasionally produced online claims that he underwent cosmetic surgery, including speculation surrounding his nose and other facial features. There is, however, an important problem with those claims. Reliable public confirmation is limited. Unlike Michael Jackson, who openly acknowledged rhinoplasty, or Deion Sanders, who publicly documented hair restoration, Benson does not have a comparably well-established record of personally detailing major plastic surgery procedures. Consequently, describing a supposed rhinoplasty or facelift as confirmed history would go beyond what the evidence comfortably supports. That does not make his before and after story uninteresting. Quite the opposite. Benson entered professional entertainment in an era when black performers faced enormous pressure concerning presentation. As his career moved from jazz clubs toward international pop success, his clothing, grooming, stage image, and dental appearance became increasingly polished. Those elements alone can create significant visual differences over decades. And perhaps that is the more meaningful transformation. Benson survived changing musical tastes without sacrificing the extraordinary guitar technique that first earned him respect. He collected multiple Grammy Awards and remained active well into his 80s. His appearance evolved, but the documented story is his longevity, not a secret surgical history we cannot prove. For a no-fake news account, that distinction must remain clear. Ginuwine. When Ginuwine emerged during the 1990s, his image was almost inseparable from his music. Born Elgin Baylor Lumpkin in Washington, D.C., in 1970, the singer combined smooth R&B vocals, choreography, athletic movement, and striking looks into a package that helped make songs such as Pony and Differences defining records of his era. As decades passed, fans naturally began comparing the young heartthrob they remembered with the mature performer appearing on stages today. Those comparisons have generated cosmetic surgery rumors. Online discussions have speculated about everything from facial treatments to hair restoration, often relying entirely on photographs taken years apart. But there is no strong, widely documented public confirmation from Ginuwine establishing that he underwent major plastic surgery. That means his story requires restraint. Different hairstyles, facial hair weight changes, lighting, dental work, professional grooming, and ordinary aging can dramatically alter a person's appearance. A photograph from a professionally styled 1990s music video cannot reasonably function as medical evidence when compared with an unfiltered image taken decades later. Ginuwine's genuine personal transformation is compelling enough. Behind his success were periods of tremendous emotional hardship. He lost both parents within a relatively short period, experiences he has discussed as profoundly affecting him. Despite personal struggles and an evolving music industry, he continued touring and performing for audiences who had grown older alongside him. That connection is particularly meaningful for longtime R&B listeners. The man singing Pony today cannot look exactly like the 26-year-old audiences discovered in 1996, and he should not be expected to. So if Ginuwine appears in a video about cosmetic transformations, the wording must remain precise. His changing appearance has generated speculation, but specific surgical claims are not confirmed. Sometimes the most responsible before and after story is simply the passage of 30 years written across a familiar face. Tito Jackson. Tito Jackson spent nearly his entire life under public observation. Born Toriano Adderall Jackson in Gary, Indiana in 1953, he was one of the original members of the Jackson 5, playing guitar alongside brothers Jackie, Jermaine, Marlon, and Michael. When the group exploded internationally at the end of the 1960s, Tito was still a teenager. By the time of his death in 2024, audiences had watched his appearance evolve across more than half a century. Because he belonged to perhaps the most scrutinized family in American pop history, cosmetic surgery speculation inevitably followed him. Later photographs prompted online discussions about possible facial procedures, particularly when viewers compared Tito with images from the Jackson 5 era. Yet those discussions should never be confused with verified medical history. There is no comparably strong public record of Tito confirming specific cosmetic operations, such as rhinoplasty or facelifts. This makes his situation fundamentally different from his brother Michael, who explicitly acknowledged 2 nose surgeries and a cleft added to his chin. What can be documented is Tito's gradual evolution from teenage Motown guitarist into an older blues and R&B performer. After decades associated primarily with his brothers, he pursued solo music, releasing Tito Time in 2016, and later continuing his work with blues-oriented material. His later appearance reflected age-changing weight grooming, facial hair styling, and decades spent living in the public eye. Tito died on September 15, 2024, at age 70, bringing an unexpected end to a career stretching back to the Jackson family's earliest performances. For a video committed to accuracy, his section should therefore resist sensational claims. Tito certainly underwent a striking transformation between adolescence and his final years, but more than 5 decades separated those images. Without reliable confirmation, it would be irresponsible to turn that natural evolution into a detailed list of supposed surgeries. His real legacy remains the music, the family history, and a lifetime spent on stage. Looking back at these 15 black male celebrities, one thing becomes clear. A changing face does not always tell us exactly what happened behind the scene. Michael Jackson and Dwayne Johnson openly discussed certain procedures, while stars such as Smokey Robinson, Jamie Foxx, Cool J, and Tito Jackson faced years of speculation without confirming many of the surgeries attributed to them. That difference matters because aging, grooming, fitness, medical treatment, and cosmetic work can all change someone's appearance. But now the debate belongs to you. Which transformation surprised you the most? Do you think Hollywood places too much pressure on men to remain young, or is cosmetic enhancement simply a personal choice? Share your opinion below and subscribe to Remembered Lives channel for more stories behind legendary lives.